Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video, and we are back with Am I the Asshole Reddit stories. I just wanted to keep reading, honestly, Am I the Assholes, and I can't just make one very long video. So I scrolled down to the next one. I'm really just slowly making my way down the Am I the Asshole Reddit thread. Because wow, this is a very short thingy. Okay. Um Because I've never actually looked at this before. I've watched videos on it. I've never actually looked at Reddit. So we have, am I the asshole for kicking my brother out of my flat after he invited my ex while I was at work? So your brother in your flat, not his flat, your flat, invited your ex. Unless you were on good terms with your ex, that's fucked up. Okay. So I, 21 male, let my older brother, 26 male, crash at my place for a bit while he was between jobs. Oh, that's nice of you. Um, I live alone in a small flat, and I told him from the start, no guests without asking me first. Understandable. This is your place. This is your home. It is not his home. I don't care if he's crashing there. Don't invite people over without permission. I came home early one day and walked in on my ex who cheated on me. Oh, instant dying hole. Sitting on my sofa, chatting like it was normal. Apparently, my brother invited her over because they're still friends. You're friends with your brother's ex after she cheated on him? What's wrong with you? And he didn't think it was a big deal. That is in quotation marks. I saw red. I told him to get out and pack his stuff, and now the family's calling me heartless. He says I overreacted. How close is your family? Do they live close? If they live close, you were, oh so, oh poor me, big brother, can go home to his mommy and daddy. Just saying, I'm living with my mom because I'm in a oh shit kind of situation. He can go live with his mommy and daddy. See ya. No, that's ridiculous. You were being nice, and you let your brother come live with you. I commend you for that. I have two little brothers. If they needed me, I would definitely allow them to come live in my home. Um, Currently I'm with my mom, so I'd have to ask her permission. But that's the point. I live with my husband and my mom. My brother, he's not awake, guys. My husband would not have a problem with it. My mom might. Because these are my brothers from a different marriage. But I also don't see her having too big of a problem with it. Because they're pretty decent boys. But still, I live with her. This is technically her home. She has opened it for us, and we are allowed to live here, and she makes it very clear that it's also our home. However, I would still ask her if she would be okay with it for my brothers to come live with me. That's just my brothers. So, if I was to invite someone over, I may not ask permission to invite them over. However, I would tell my mom that I am inviting someone over. That way she is prepared. So she knows someone's going to be there when she comes home. If she comes home in the time that they're there. And I would tell her who it is. For that important reason. I had my best friend was supposed to come over one day. And it was after my son was born. She was going to come visit him after we got home from the hospital. I told my mom that my best friend was going to come over and spend the day with us for a bit so she could hang out with her godson. My mom cleaned the entire house. That way it would be nice for when my friend came over. That's just who my mom is. She doesn't like having guests unless her home is like clean, but that's why she asks to know who is going to be in the home. That way she can clean it if she feels like it's necessary, because that's her comfortability, and I respect it. But I respect it if when I had roommates, I would let them know if someone was coming over. I would not ask permission because it's also my home, but I would let them know. However, this is not your brother's home. This is not his home. This is a place for him to crash. You are a couch that he is crashing on during a rough time, which is, again, very nice of you. However, not his home. He does not have the right to bring people over without your permission. That's just common courtesy. Common fucking knowledge. Sounds like this is, pretty boy favorite child syndrome going on right now. Which is interesting, because it's usually the youngest and not the oldest. That's not comment. Not the a-hole. Basic courtesy, yes. To follow your rules while staying there. No guest without asking you first means exactly that. Not invite my cheating ex over without asking me first because she's your friend. Agreed. That's fucked up. You should never do that. You're shitty. You're shitty. He's a shitty person. You're not shitty. He's a shitty person. And I feel no remorse for him. And your parents are shitty. Or your family or whatever. Who the hell ever said, you're a crappy person? They are. They're the crappy people. Not the hill. Fuck no. That's just a nope right there. The family can keep him at their house. Exactly. If it's such a big deal that he needs help from family, maybe they should extend the help. Not you. Good job holding to your boundaries. Agreed. I like the next one. You're not the a-hole. What kind of oblivious a-hole invites the cheating ex-girlfriend of his host into the host's home? And then it shows a little, thing below it, quoting the thing. Now the family's calling me heartless. Then they can take the jobless a-hole until he can support himself again. Agreed. Someone commented on this. He's not oblivious. This is talking about the brother. He just thinks OP's ex is easy because she cheated and will sleep with him to fuck with OP. That's an interesting take. Also shitty, but that's an interesting take. That's a one way to think about it. That's wow. Okay. Are you awake? No, you're just making noises. Your bro can get some personal time. Sorry. With your ex in his own place or on a park bench or wherever. Park bench. Let's do some public indecency, please. He can't see how insensitive he was bringing them into your home. That's a big issue. What's next? Drugs all over your coffee table because he didn't think it was a big deal. Not the a-hole. Agreed. I'm going with park bench. If you want to mess around with her, go to the park bench. Because, that means you get women for two things. Am I horrible for thinking that? I don't think so. Okay. I think that's all I'm gonna read for this one. But it's mostly all the same thing. Everyone's saying you're not the a-hole and that your family is also very, very shitty. On top of your shitty ass. Brother. Let's go to the next one. Ooh, this one's a wedding story. Or a partial wedding story, I think. Am I the a-hole for laughing at my stepson and ruining his wedding? Were you at the wedding? Were you in front of the crowd? Laughing at him? What are you laughing at him for? Is this something actually funny? Or were you a shitty person? We will find out. Throwaway, shortened for character count. There's a character count in here? Well, that's not fun. For context, we love context. I need context more often in these stories. I have been married to my husband for over 20 years. Okay. We started dating when my stepkids were 5 and 3. Okay, so your husband's kids, I assume that was what you meant by stepkids, but just needed. You've been married for 20 years. And you've been married since they were 5 and 3. Our kids are Adam 28, stepkid number 1. So this has been what, 5, 6, 7, 8, 23 years you've been with? Yeah, 23 years. You've been a part of this kid's life for 23 years. I don't know if this is the stepson that they're talking about, but either way, you've still been a part of their lives for 23 years if the eldest is 28. Ben, 26, stepkid number 2. Charles, 20. David, 17. And Ellie, 13. That's a lot of kids. Congratulations. Also, 13-year-olds, I bet that's a pain in the butt. Hell, 17-year-olds probably a pain in the butt. Adam is getting married at the end of summer to his fiancée, Alice. So Adam is the oldest. Okay, so oldest is the one getting married. I'm assuming the oldest is the one that we're talking about right now. Alice is 27. We have all been very excited for them. All of the kids have roles for the wedding. Charles is the best man. The other 2 boys are groomsmen, and Ellie is a junior bridesmaid. Oh, that's cute. That means that she wanted to have them a part of the wedding, I'm assuming. That's cute. Sorry, I have to check on my makes noises. Last weekend, we had a dinner for my husband's birthday. All of the kids attended along with Alice, so the fiancée. The topic of the wedding came up again, and this is where it started to go downhill. Oh boy. Ellie brought up that she was so excited to go dress shopping and that we planned to go to a bigger city in a few weeks to get her a dress and me, a stepmom, of the groom dress. Did they say specifically stepmom or did they say like mom of the groom? I know that doesn't matter, but I'm curious if you genuinely just went straight into stepmom because some people just go mom. I'm just curious, especially with how long you've been in this kid's life. I'm assuming his other mom is a part of his life, and that's why he said it. At that, Alice looked at Adam sideways and responded that we only needed to worry about one dress, Ellie's. Ellie kind of laughed and said, "What are you expecting Mom to wear? A suit?" Hey, I agree with that. What's the big deal about her finding a dress? Is she not gonna be there? Is that what's happening? Alice responded with my name isn't going. You didn't invite her. You invited all of her children, including her biological children, and not her. What the fuck? Okay. You know we are keeping our guest list very limited to only family and a few close friends. Only family. She's been in your life for 23 years. Only family. Is this his choice or her choice? That's what I want to know. Is this her doing or his doing? What? Adam and Alice have been to our house numerous times for holidays, dinners, just to say hi since they've been engaged. This has never been brought up. Okay, even shittier. You've never mentioned this. Pretty quickly, things escalated. Yeah, fair. The Cliff Note version is that Charles, that is the third child, that's where my own context had to go up, asked them to clarify if they were choosing to uninvite me now or if I was never invited. Yeah, that's important. Alice confirmed the latter. She was never invited. You piece of shit. You flaming piece of shit. Why? Adam said it's because I'm not his mom. Okay. Charles, David, and Ellie argued with Adam and Alice that none of them were going to go if I wasn't invited. Fair. You had decent kids right there. It was cruel to leave me out, given I've been his parent for a majority of his life and loved him like my own. Agreed. That's shitty. My husband and I admittedly sat there for a minute, just fucking shocked. I would be shocked if you weren't shocked. Okay. Adam finally turned to my husband and said, well, my husband told him he wouldn't be going either. Go, husband. Adam then turned to me and asked if I was really going to let everyone ruin his wedding on my behalf. You're ruining the wedding, Adam. You are ruining the wedding. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I just laughed. No, I don't think you're the a-hole. I don't know what came over me, but the entire thing was just so ridiculous, and that laughing was the only thing I could get out. You know this, fair. There's some situations where it is such a mess, and you really don't know how to respond, so all you can think is, maybe this is a joke, and just laugh. That's fair. I understand. I don't see you're not the asshole. I told my husband I'd be waiting in the car and left. And then promptly bawled my eyes out. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyways, Charles, David, and Ellie are not talking to Adam. Adam called my husband yesterday to try and smooth things over. He was still adamant I'm not invited, and it's their wedding. He also requested I apologize for laughing at him. No. My husband told him tough shit. Awesome. It's their wedding, and they can invite whoever they want, but they can't control who will actually go. He said they owe me an apology and that Adam should be ashamed of himself. I'm getting texts now asking what the fuck I did and why I'm being a step monster and ruining the wedding. Am I the a-hole? Who's texting me? Him? His fiance? Or other people that don't know any of the fucking context of this story? First of all, you are not the a-hole. And you were not ruining his wedding. You can laugh, because that was fucking ridiculous. And I feel like you have the right to laugh, because honestly, I would feel like in that moment that was horseshit and fake, and they were joking, or whatever. I don't know. Regardless, you were not the a-hole for laughing. You were not the a-hole for ruining his wedding, because you're not ruining his wedding. He and his shitty ass bitch of a fiance is ruining the wedding, not you. I am a child of divorce. I have a stepmom. I have 2 siblings from that stepmom. I would never, ever not invite my stepmother or my brothers from something intentionally that was important. Actually, I would not invite them anyway. So I invited I invited them to every sports event I ever had. Even if I didn't feel it was an important sports event or any event that I had, they were always invited. It was their choice if they wanted to go or not. And my stepmom chose not to go to a lot of the sporting events, which is completely fair and understandable. Sporting events suck. And my high school was not very good at them, so they weren't very entertaining either. However, the choice was given, the offer was offered. You were not invited at all. That's horrible. That is absolutely despicable and horrible, and I'm sorry. I did not have a wedding. I chose to have a pretty much elopement. I don't really consider it an elopement. It's just we signed papers and we got married. That was our decision. My mother wasn't even there for that, and I live next to her. My mom lives, obviously, I live with her. My dad and my stepmom live on the other side of the country. I still, if I had an actual wedding, would have invited them. However, I didn't. So I did not invite them. I didn't even invite my real mom, let alone a stepmom. My biological mother wasn't even invited. My wedding was, my best friend and her dad were our witnesses because her cousin was our officiant. And we just signed it at a family get together because I'm pretty much part of the family. So it was just a family get together for the holidays, and we got married there. That was our choice. We wanted to keep our anniversary. Our anniversary is over the holidays, so we definitely wasn't going to get a judge, and we didn't want anything big. We didn't want anything big. We didn't want the worry of inviting a bunch of people, so that was our decision. However, if that was a situation, and if I did have an event that was happening, and I do plan on having a big reception event later on down the line aisle, I am going to invite my family. They will be invited. If they choose not to come, that is their whole prerogative. That is understandable. That is for them to decide on. I still will invite them. But again, they have to come across the country to come to these things. So I'm not going to be concerned if they say no. But again, this is not what was given to you. This is not the same courtesy that you deserve. Especially because you've been in this child's life for 23 years. My stepmom has been in my life for probably just under 20 years. Maybe 18 to 19 years now. And I still would invite her. We had our issues growing up, obviously. I think everyone does. There's struggles. We have talked about them, discussed them, and we're doing a lot better. And I still, even if I was not doing well, and I still had a lot of these issues, which I do have a lot of issues from my growing up, I still would have invited her because that is the courtesy she deserves. Even though I had a rough time and that we did not have the greatest relationship growing up. Even if I was to get married, so for example, our relationship was really, really shitty around 18, I still made sure she had a ticket and a spot to sit at my graduation. Even though we were not on good terms. I would do the same for my wedding. From what I've gathered, your understanding, you have a good relationship with him. Or did. You did have a good relationship with him. This is whatever the hell is in his brain that he thinks that you're not true family because you're his stepmom. Either way, that is shitty, and I'm curious if the biological mother is a part of this, because that's a whole other can of worms. So I'm going to read the first comment, because OP actually responded. So, I feel like there's a lot missing here. You've been married to his dad since he was 8. I read 5. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that. Um, that was years of elementary, middle, high school, college, 20 years. She said more than 20 years, so they just read the 20 years part. Is his mother living? Did his fiance influence him? Just seems odd to not invite his dad's wife and of 20 years and call her not family. I don't think you're the a-hole, but I just want to know more about the past 20 years. I agree. I love context. That's this. I'm hoping OP does address a bit of this, hopefully in her comment back. But even if your terms was not the greatest with you, if his terms was not the greatest with you, is his dad's, you are his dad's wife. Even if it's a small intimate wedding, you would think that you would still be invited because you're his wife and have been his wife for years. Oh, my baby just smiled in his sleep and it was so cute. I just had to share that. So OP responded, I am sorry, I had to cut out a lot for the character count to post. When Adam called my husband, did ask him when Adam called, my husband did ask him if I had done anything, if it was related to bio mom, in parentheses, she has never gotten along with us. Okay, so she is alive. If I had overstepped in any way, Adam says no. It's just they want family only. Okay, yeah, I'm still standing by. You are not the a-hole. Stepdad is invited as far as we know. So his mother's husband is invited, but you're not. That's shitty. I was a stay-at-home mom for most of my stepkids' childhood, and we had 50-50 custody. So 50-50 custody with his mother. My husband has always worked a lot, but has been as involved as possible. The house and kids rearing mostly fell to me. Rearing. I don't know. That doesn't sound. I love our kids to pieces. I thought we had made it clear from the beginning that I am/was another parent that loves them, not a replacement mom. That is what every step parent is. Unless the other parent, the parent that the step parent is replacing, is not involved. Is either not involved or not around. If you're not around by choice or not really involved by choice, I would consider you a replacement. If the other parent is involved or is died, you are not a replacement. I feel like that needs to be important. I do not consider my stepmom a replacement for my mom. Never have. Never considered any of my stepdads, when my mom had been married previously, a replacement for my dad. Never. Not once. I only called one of them dad, and that was because I had a younger sibling that tried to call her father by his real name, and because she didn't understand that I was gonna call him by his real name, so that was the thing. That's all my situation. But either way, not a replacement. I'm glad that you made that clear. We've never had any issues, and I thought up until now, that we were particularly close. Our communication has slowed since he met Alice, but he was calling me about once or twice a week prior to this. Alice and I have gone shopping on occasion, gotten lunch. I even went with her to the florist for the wedding because her mom wasn't available and Adam got called into work. There has to be something slash someone causing an issue, and my husband and I are baffled. Honestly, it sounds like Alice is the issue. As horrible as that sounds, the statements that she said about you not being family and not being invited, it sounds like she's the issue. Especially if your communication with him slowed significantly after meeting Alice and being with her. I understand that, once you have a partner, it's kind of the same thing with friends. A lot of people with partners lose a little bit of communication with their friends, but they don't cut off complete communication as long as that friend is important to them. My best friend and I rarely talk, and that's mostly because we both forget to text each other. But that's understandable. I have not lowered my communication with my mom. Now I live with her, so it's a little different. But when I met my boyfriend at the time, now husband, I still communicated with my mom at least once a day, whether it through text or call, and that was my choice. And that was also her choice. It was something that we had an agreement on where we would talk to each other each day because we didn't live together, we didn't live near each other. So it was more of a comfortability situation. But it genuinely sounds like Alice is the problem. I'm sorry, and that's probably not something you want to hear, but it does sound like Alice is the problem. Does it look like OP? Oh. Okay, OP responded to another comment, and I'm gonna go ahead and read that one because I want more context for this situation. Absolutely not the a-hole. Assuming you and Adam have gotten along fine until now, it's absolutely wild that they wouldn't invite you. Only family and close friends, quotation marks, when a step-parent literally counts as family. And the nerve to accuse you of ruining his wedding. I don't blame you for laughing. Agreed. I don't blame you for laughing. I still stand by that. That's ridiculous. OP responded, it's probably also relevant, but my husband's parents are long since deceased. My parents, dad, stepmom, and mom, have been very involved with all of the kids since they were little. Okay, so you have stepmom as well. I feel like that's important context because you understand that dynamic and that situation. So you can understand that there could be strain and there's decent friendship and stuff like that. I think it's important context. They are also not going, since if I'm not family, they aren't either. My brother and sister-in-law, their daughter, my cousin, in parentheses, they call him uncle, and several of my other family members that have been around since stepkids were little have also dropped. Dropped? As in were dropped, they weren't invited, or they dropped because you're not invited. There are up to like 20 people that have rescinded their yes RSVPs for a wedding of maybe 60 people. So they were invited and you weren't. So your brother was invited and your sister-in-law was invited and their daughter and your cousin is what I'm getting from this comment. Were invited. Your parents weren't. Shitty. But they were. And have dropped out of the wedding. They've said no to going to the wedding. Good for them. The fact that they're invited and you're not is really shitty to me. That's even worse than I imagined. It would be one thing. It's not okay. But it'd be one thing if it was all of her family, all of her side of the family that wasn't invited, but it is specifically her and her parents. So I'm thinking Alice comes from a non-broken family and doesn't see how a broken family dynamic counts as a family. And what I mean by broken family, a lot of people get upset when people say broken families by kids of divorce and stuff like that. As a child of divorce, and I've been a child of actually multiple divorces, um, mostly on my mother's side, but it's hard to be a divorced child, a child of a divorced couple. It's even harder when a new person is introduced into that dynamic because it's a whole other can of worms that is difficult to deal with. I call my family a broken home, and I will forever call my family a broken home. Not that I have an issue with the fact that they are divorced, or that my stepmom exists, or that my brothers exist because my stepmom exists in our lives. I have no issue with that. My parents were not meant to be together. I feel like if they were together, I would have had a worse childhood. And that's saying something. So when I say broken home, it generally comes from someone that has lived it and feels the way I feel because of how I lived it. I was lucky that when my parents got divorced, I was incredibly young. So I never experienced going through the divorce process, at least not for that situation. I did go through my mom's second divorce, um, but that was one hell of a mess, and I didn't really like him, so I'm fine with it. But regardless, most children of divorce do not have an issue calling their families broken homes because in their minds, a lot of them, they are broken. It may not be broken in what people traditionally think is broken, but they are still broken. Um, I still, coming from a broken family, having step parents, consider every single member of my step parents' side of the family a family. And I will forever consider that. I may not have the greatest relationship with them, or I may look at some of the stuff that has happened over the years and realize that it kind of presents that it wasn't the greatest relationship that I've had with them or could have had with them. However, they are still family to me, and that's that. Um, so we got another comment that OP responded to. So the comment was info, and then it's colon. What is the nature of your relationship with Adam? Is his mother in the picture? Could his fiance be in his ear? That's what I'm thinking. It doesn't make sense if you raised him as your own that he would do this unless she forced him or you're leaving some oh, excuse me, some details out. And then OP responded, I thought we were particularly close besides the normal teenager. I don't have to listen to you. BS face. We have never fought. We've always had him and Ben 50-50 as a teen and on his butt butted heads and on he's butted heads with his mother. Okay, so he's gotten issues with his mother before. Um, there have been times over the years where Adam had come to my husband and I and asked questions from things his mom has said, but we've always been forthcoming with info. Oh, that's another thing about broken homes. There is usually always, there's very rarely, very rare. I've met one that did not have this situation. Literally one family out of everyone I've known that has a broken family, that does not have this situation. There's usually at least one parent, one or the other, or both, um, that talks shit about the other or presents things that are not true to the child or is taking their anger out on the child or something like that. Something horrible that you shouldn't do to your child I don't think you should bad talk the other parent to your child. I don't care how your feelings are. You shouldn't do that. My parents did that, especially my dad to my mom. There was a lot of bad talking. There's still a lot of bad talking. They don't get along at all, which is whatever. Um, my mom did bad talk my dad quite a bit. Um, but also, if I asked my mom a question, I know she was honest with me. Cannot say the same for my dad. Little bit different situation, but it is important to be the honest person. It may not be always accepted, but it is important to be the honest person, and I'm glad that you were the honest person for this child. So in parentheses it says X of that is, oh, example, I'm assuming, of that is that his mom called me a homewrecker. Did you break up the relationship? Did you cheat with her husband while they were together? This upset Adam, and Adam came pissed to us. Okay, fair. Explained that no, bio mom and dad were long since broke up. That's very different. Yeah, that happens too. When bio mom is usually in this situation, bio mom is probably still jealous that what was probably jealous that he found someone new, and probably not over the relationship. Mom, long since broken up, and mom even had a fiance who was not currently stepdad when I met dad. Oh, that's worse. She was definitely jealous though. She was trying to prove that she could make it without him. I don't know the reason for the divorce, but she was probably trying to prove that she could make it without him, that she didn't need him around. And so she probably got in a relationship really quickly, really fast, that she did not care about. And then when he got in a relationship, it probably dropped. She probably got really jealous, and that relationship probably dropped. Pulled receipts. Oh, they had receipts. Adam upset with mom. Blew over and on to the next thing. That does happen once it's all out there. It takes a little bit, but eventually it blows over. We still deal with bio mom though, and I do have a hard time believing she'd pull something at this point. I feel like she would. Maybe she got in Alice's ear. Alice and I aren't super close, but I thought had a good relationship. I have always tried to include her sometimes. Sometimes she takes up my offer and sometimes she doesn't. I know she sees bio mom quite a bit and that side of Adam's family too. She was raised by her grandparents and does not talk about bio parents often. Ooh, well, that gives some extra context. I still feel like Alice is the one that's doing this and that she's kind of pushing it on Adam, trying to make it in his brain, kind of like how his mom tried to blame you for her relationship ending. Alice is probably trying to make Adam see that you're a problem, that you're the issue. And the problem likely is, especially if she sees bio mom and that side of the family more often than she does with you, is that bio mom is likely in Alice's ear and is feeding her a whole load of horse shit because she's still jealous and she wants you to suffer and wants her ex-husband to suffer. And is doing that through a fiance that does not fully understand the situation. And she's probably saying that you're a homewrecker and that you're a piece of shit and that there's a bunch of other things going on. And she's probably feeding that shit to Adam. If it's not directly telling him what his mother said, she's probably bringing it up in small little hints in small little parts of topic, like maybe they're discussing, maybe you're, I don't know, you invited them to something, and she goes, well, actually, we could do this instead because this is not something we should do because she suggested it. Kind of situation like that. Just little hints of things that has been probably pushing on him since their engagement. She's probably been doing this their entire engagement, maybe even longer. It's that sucks though. I'm not gonna keep scrolling through comments, but yeah, my final consensus, and from what I can see, is a lot of people's consensus is that you're not the a-hole, and that there's definitely something else going on here. I feel like you should have a conversation with Alice and Adam and try to understand where it's coming from, that this issue is coming from, that's a thing, and you may have to accept that you're not going to that wedding. And I hope your family stands by you and continues to stand by you no matter how bad this gets up into the wedding, because I don't know how far the wedding is off. That none of them need to be at the wedding. If he wants to act this way, he needs to understand that he's losing family. And don't continue contact. It's probably best if contact is broken. If they will not sit down and have a discussion with you for you to learn something, I think your husband should probably present that maybe something is going on and that he's not fully seeing the whole picture because he's a little, lovesick blind right now. If he's not willing to see that, I think you guys should not talk to him and see how he handles that. And if he decides to never come back into contact with you guys or something like that, honestly, it sounds like sounds like from where we're gathering that you may have to lose contact with your eldest child. And that sounds horrible, but if he's not willing to reach out that olive branch, I think you should lay out everything, explain what you're feeling, explain how you feel, and that you're concerned. If it's not in person, write an email, write a letter. He needs to read it. He does, and maybe it'll bring some ideas to mind or realization to the brain, because I know I have dealt with a lot of things in my life where I had to step back and look at it from a different perspective, from someone else's thought process, to fully understand how things are bad or how I'm being manipulated without fully realizing it. And I think that's what's going on, is he's being manipulated and he doesn't know it. And that's sad and unfortunate. And I hope you guys can get this figured out. This was posted, let me see, 12 hours ago. So hopefully it can get figured out. It may not get figured out right away, but I hope something gets figured out. But I think that's where I'm going to end this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode and you want to see more Am I the Asshole readings, please let me know in the comments. Make sure to put some sugar on that like button. Comment down below anything else you would like to see. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!